The interesting thing about your TED Talk, to go to a dark topic.
Is what happened when I walked off stage?
No, what happened when you walked off stage?
Found out that I had a brain tumor. Was that not where you're going? There's something else dark about my... Yeah.
Well, yes. I thought you knew through the TED Talk. You found out right after.
I mean, the reason that I found out was partly because of the TED Talk, because my mom came into town to be there for it. And my right eyelid was swollen, and it had kind of been swelling over a while. And I'd even gotten comments about it on my YouTube channel. And I thought it was allergies because I was like, oh, it's just pollen allergies. It's just affecting my one eye because maybe I sleep mostly on that side. I don't know. And my mom came into the States and then Vancouver for my TED Talk. And she's like, Simone, you have to have a scan or see what's up. Well, we have to go to the doctor. And she really pushed me to do it because I was like, fine. And I had an MRI scan on 5 p.m. on a Friday night. My boyfriend at the time was there. And I remember halfway through an MRI scan, they kind of pull you out and they inject contrast fluid or this thing that, just gives them another type of scan. And the nurse looked at me in this way and was like, how long have you had symptoms for? Mm-hmm. And that's when I knew that they'd found something. And then they shove you back into the machine for another 20 minutes. And my ex was just seeing them zooming in and out of my scans. And there was this obviously something that just looked wrong in there. And they sent me to the ER and I found out that I had a brain tumor the size of a golf ball that probably been growing since I was a teenager. So it'd been growing over 10, 15 years. And I had surgery to remove it. And then it kept on growing, the parts that they couldn't remove. And I went through radiation treatment. So that was 2 years that just was kind of dedicated to just getting better and getting back to where I am now. And I remember I was so stoked about 2020 because I was like, this is the first year that I'm not held back by my health. And I'm finally going to be able to do everything unfeathered. And then the pandemic happens and you're kind of just okay, just in the backseat of what's happening and things that are out of my control again.
In your public, you made a couple of videos about it. I have a brain tumor. My brain tumor is back. Mm-hmm. You kind of, you name your tumor Brian. Mm-hmm. You kind of make it a lighthearted thing, but so you don't reveal much of the darkness. But were you scared? What were some low points?
Of course I was scared. I mean, it's terrifying. It's and also when it's in your brain, I was take any other part of me, but don't take my brain. No, it's this unfathomable thing that happens and you're I'm healthy. How could this possibly be a brain tumor? My eye is swollen. There's nothing there. I haven't had any seizures. I haven't had any cognitive issues. I haven't had any headaches even. How is that even possible? So you go through a lot of different stages of just trying to understand what it is. And I think I remember being hit right as I found out when we were in an poor Uber driver from where I had my MRI scan to the ER where they sent me. And I was really grateful that I've gotten so much more out of life than I ever thought I would. I've had a hell of a life. And even if it would have ended really early, I would have done so much more than I ever thought. But I was also really, really sad that I hadn't had kids yet. That was my big grief of fuck, I haven't have time to have kids yet. But no, it's terrifying. I mean, the prospect of somebody cutting up your head, that's terrifying. But it honestly wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be.
What about the radiation treatment? What are some things that, people should, you learned about it, about the process and about yourself through that people might be interested about?
I think surgery was both harder and easier than radiation treatment because it was harder because it was so much more intense and it's such a dramatic thing, going to the hospital that morning and being I don't know, and you feel so awful when you wake up. But then the recovery from it was pretty linear. Like almost every week I would get a little bit better. The thing about radiation is that it was not linear at all. And it kind of drained me in this weird, like it was so hard to predict. And also they put me on these, I spent months feeling like I was high out of my mind. And I couldn't process reality in a way that I normally would. Like everything just felt off. Like I felt like I was high on drugs. And I kept on asking my doctors what was going on. And they're like, no, I don't know. Don't think it's anything related. And I was on this Alzheimer's medicine that they put you on to prevent dementia from radiation treatment, like kind of as a preventative. And I found all these subreddits of people using that Alzheimer's medicine to get high. And people be like, oh my God, bro, I took like 20 milligrams yesterday and I was high out of my mind. And I'm like, I'm on 30 milligrams a day. Like, of course it feels weird. And that was honestly one of the scariest parts of it, because that was the first time where I felt like it genuinely affected my way of processing reality. And yeah, I was so relieved when I found out that that was what was causing it, because I felt like I was going crazy. But even after surgery, like I woke up and I felt like myself, like everything was, I got no brain injury. So obviously this is like my experience from somebody who came out of it pretty unscathed, who didn't get any brain injuries and didn't have to do any of that recovery. It's more just the recovery from like the physical act of somebody cutting your skull open and taking a large chunk out.
Did you research all the things that can go wrong during surgery?
No. I honestly I'm a bit surprised by how I acted. Just pausing for you to pour. You're welcome, editors.
This is like a commercial.
This is like work injury from being a YouTuber. It's all like freeze if there's audio that comes in. Yeah, sponsored by tap water. I was surprised by how little I was willing to think critically about what my doctors told me to do. Like I very early on, the neurologist that I worked with, he was the one who was on call at the ER the day where I came in. And he was the one who ended up doing my surgery. And he kind of became like my rock in this. And I just 100% trusted him. And he turned out to be an amazing doctor and like did a great job and was just like, so I got so lucky. But I remember my mom being like, oh, but we should like talk about second opinions and like we should try to do more research. And I was like so unwilling to do that, because opening up to the idea that there are multiple ways or multiple things that might be right or wrong was so terrifying. Like I wanted there to just be like, no, this is the only option. This is what we need to do. And if I started questioning that, then I don't know if I would have been able to go through with it. So yeah, it was I just really wanted to trust the doctors that I worked with. And I was very scared to question them in any way.
How did that process change your relationship with death? Are you afraid of death? Do you ponder your mortality?
Yeah, I think it took away a part of youth for me.
Like the innocence?
Yeah. I mean, you kind of think of terrible things as something that happens to other people, and death and illness. So I think it kind of fast-tracked that for me. But it mostly changed my relationship to life. It's made me so much more gentle with myself. Like going through illness, it forces you to redefine what it means to be good. And before, being good had been pushing myself really hard. It had been working and I don't know, just being really hard with myself and disciplined. And when you're healing from something, being good is listening to your body. It's resting. It's like really being in tune with where your health is at. And I think that is something that's kind of stuck with me since then. I'm like so much more gentle and delicate with myself.
And with others? Or
I think it definitely, it's like when you're young and healthy, it's really hard to know what it feels like to be ill. Yeah. And I remember, you like go to yoga class and you'd be like, oh my God, this is too slow. Like I want it to be, I have so much more energy. Like I need to. And when I was recovering from my brain surgery, there was this yoga studio nearby my house and they had yoga for seniors. And I was so stoked because I was like, oh, this is the yoga class I'll be able to take.
Yeah.
And I think that was really eye-opening of just like, you kind of imagine that it's just like, oh, just push yourself harder. But no, that's not it. With age or sickness, or it's just, you got to be so gentle with yourself and you have to cater to people where they're at.
Yeah, and just appreciation of this like biological vehicle you get, and you should take care of it.
Being sick sucks.
Yeah.
It's awful. And I'm really motivated to postpone that for as much as I can. And also, I was so tremendously grateful when I got ill that I felt like I had so much to take from. Like I had so many energy reservoirs. I'd spent my life taking pretty decent care of my body and like exercising and eating well and like not wrecking my body in any way. And I felt like this was the first time where that was so critical. And I felt like my body was ready for it,
I thought you were gonna go the other way. Like you can take care of your body all you want. It's bad stuff happens, so you should go on drug binges and go wild and do crazy things. And
I mean, I also had that thought where I was like, I fucking floss every day. How do I have a brain tumor? I've been good. Like, why does this happen to me? But more so, it was like my body was so resilient and ready for it, and I was really, really proud of it.
It's amazing that the human body is able to recover from even the harshest things.
Yeah, it's wild. And my brain, so after surgery, because I had a brain tumor the size of a golf ball, kind of behind my right eye. And after brain surgery, you kind of just have this big hole in your head, like this void. And usually your brain stays that way, like it retains the shape even after the brain tumor is gone. But for some reason, my brain was feeling really ambitious and it has completely flopped back. And I have almost like a normal looking brain now where doctors are like, oh, we would almost not be able to tell that you had one. So yeah, that just blew my mind. Being like, was that why I had all those headaches after surgery? It's just my brain being like,
trying, working. Yeah.